Hey everyone, my name's Nick, and today I will be showing you guys how I personally go about setting up a bass tone for metal slash djent in my Pod HD 500X. And I'm going to be using the Pod HD bass pack, which is compatible with most of the newer pods. It's definitely compatible with the 500, the 500X, the Pro, and the Pro X. And it might be compatible with some of the 300 versions, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, the bass I'm using in this video is a Schecter C4 Custom, and it's a 4-string bass, and the tuning from low to high is E, B, E, and A. So basically the low E string is just in standard tuning and the rest of the strings are tuned up one step. And I use this to record alongside my 8-string guitars, so everything is tuned in the same octave, and it sounds really good. So yeah, that's that. So now I'm going to get into showing you guys how to set up this tone using the Pod HD bass pack. So first off, here's what the bass sounds like alone. Almost sounds good enough to be played alone. Anyway, so that's what the bass sounds like alone. And up here, you guys can see I've got this set up the way that I would normally have it set up. Two channels. One I'm going to be using as the high frequency channel. I'm going to have that channel be distorted. And the other channel I'm going to be using to push the low frequencies, and it's going to be a clean channel. Alright, so for the heads that I use, I always go with the SVT normal for the low frequency channel down here. Let's see, and I always use this cab, and we're going to see how this mic sounds. Good, nice and aggressive. How about the 40? Okay, so I'm actually going to go with the 40 because although it doesn't sound as good as the 7, it's a little bit cleaner sounding, which this being my clean low frequency channel, that's how I want it to sound. So as you can see over here, I just turned the drive down on this and I turned the bass up. I'm gonna jump over here and bring the treble down on this because I want this channel to mainly be my smooth low frequencies. And see how this sounds. So that cleaned it up a little bit. I'm going to bring the drive back up, see if that pushes it a bit better. So I like that, so I'm just going to take it and run with it. So up here on my high frequency channel, I'm just going to use the SVT Bright, same cab, and same mic. I'm going to turn this off and bypass it so that we can hear this head alone. Alright, so this head needs a little bit of work, but not too much. I'm going to go ahead and bring the bass down on it a little bit, and the mid frequency. It's going to bring that down to about 75. I'm not going to turn these mids down too much. And I'm going to put the treble about the same spot as the mids. See how that sounds. Alright, so I'm going to use a little bit of low cut here so I can get this upper section, this high frequency channel, sounding as dry as I can get it. That sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the effects now. So first things first, I'm going to put a noise gate, because this is going to be a heavily distorted metal tone. I'm going to keep the decay. I'm not going to turn it all the way down. I'm going to give it a little bit there, about 10%, because it sounds funky when you have the decay all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and go with a red comp. I'm going to keep the level right there where it's at, but I'm going to bring the sustain up. So for what the noise gate does cut out, the compressor will keep it back in the game. And we're going to see how this all sounds so far. Really nice pick attack on there. My playing sounds like shit. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and refine this low frequency channel a bit more here. And I'm just going to go ahead and slap an EQ on this. Actually, I'm going to use the graphic EQ. I'm just going to go ahead and cut the highs out a little bit more. You know, something about like that. Bringing the mids up right there around 440, the low mids. Bring those up a little bit. That's fine where it is. I'm going to bring this down, this stuff below 80 hertz, because that's just the mud. See how this sounds right now. So as you can hear, this low frequency channel is pushing a whole lot of low end, and there's not a lot of highs coming out of it, whereas the high frequency channel, the way it's set currently, sounds pretty much the complete opposite, and we're going to listen to it right now. Okay, so first things first, I very much like my compressors, so I'm going to go ahead and slap another compressor up here, a tube comp. And the tube comp does a pretty good job of distorting your tone, so I'm going to turn the level way down to about 5 or 6. I'm going to bring the threshold up because it also kind of acts like a noise gate. I'm going to give this a listen right now. So there's not a huge difference with it on and with it off, but we will fix that shortly. And next I'm going to go ahead and slap an EQ on there and do pretty much the same thing that I did with the low frequency channel down here, but backwards. So I'm going to cut the lows down out of it, about 25, boost the highs, frequency up. The Q, I'm going to leave that where it is, as well as the gain. And for everyone that doesn't know what the Q is, that the Q controls how narrow or how wide your cut or boost is over here on the EQ section. In other words, if you're doing say you're in an EQ, say you're using an EQ and you're trying to put a cut somewhere around a random number of 600 hertz. If you have the Q all the way up, you're gonna get mostly just 600 hertz and a little bit of stuff around it. If you have the Q all the way down, you're gonna be cutting stuff out in the 600 range, as well as like 400, 500, 700, and 800 even. And so that's what the Q does. It controls how narrow your cut or boost is. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and give this a listen right now. Sorry about that, I had the mic off. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the most important part of the high frequency channel, and that is the distortion. And I usually put a pretty heavy distortion on there. Go with the line 6 distortion. You already hear that fuzz going all over the place. So we're going to turn the bass down about 15 because we still need some of it in there. Mids, about a flat 50. And the treble, we're actually going to back off on it a little bit in here, because treble kind of works with the distortion and makes it sound a little bit crunchier. On the drive, we don't need a lot of drive, so I'm just going to back it off way down here. And the output, we'll leave it at 50 for now and see how it sounds. So it sounds like this. Both amps on. Awesome. So that sounds pretty good like that. And I could go a little more in depth on the settings, but I'm not going to. I'm going to try to get this video, I'm going to try to keep it as brief as I can. But anyway, over at the end here, I like to slap on a studio EQ and just kind of cut out some of the extremes here, like everything above 8,000 hertz and below 75. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that out. A little bit of makeup gain, and then right here at the very end of this chain, you guessed it, another noise gate. And I usually don't put noise gates after the amp, but for this tone I will. And the whole thing sounds like this. Alright, so that's basically how I go about setting it up, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a tone here that I already took the time to set up. And the only difference with this one is I'm using a different head up here for the high frequency channel. I'm using the Class A, and I'm using the same cab here but a different mic. And this is the tone that I used to record the little drum bass intro at the beginning of the video. And here's how this one sounds. I didn't mute my mic for that, but hope it's not too much of a problem. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll be able to drop a new video sometime soon. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe